Genesis chapter 38. And at that time Judah went down from his brothers, and turned into a certain Adullamite, whose name was Hira. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua. And he took her, and went in to her, and she conceived, and bore a son, and he called his name And she conceived again, and bore a son, and she called his name Onan. And she yet conceived, and bore a son, and she called his name Shelah. And she was at Shezib when she bore him. And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord killed him. And Judah said to Onan, Go in unto your brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to your brother. And Onan knew that the seed would not be his. And it came to pass, when he went into his brother's wife, that he spilled on the ground, lest he should give seed to his brother. And the thing which he did was evil in the eyes of the Lord, and therefore he killed him also. Then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, Remain a widow at your father's house until Shelah my son is grown. For he said, Lest perhaps he die also, as his brothers did. And Tamar went and lived in her father's house. And as many days went by, Judah's wife, the daughter of Shua, died, and Judah was comforted, and went up to his sheep shearer to Timnath, he and his friend Hira, the Adullamite. And it was told to Tamar, saying, Behold, your father-in-law goes up to Timnath to shear his sheep. And she put off her widow's clothes, and covered herself with a veil, and wrapped herself. And she sat in an open place which is by the way to Timnath. And she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given to him as wife. And when Judah saw her, he thought she was a harlot, because she had covered her face. And he turned aside to her by the wayside, and said, Come, I pray you, let me come in unto you. For he did not know that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, What will you give me, so that you may come in unto me? And he said, I will send a kid from the flock. And she said, Will you give me a pledge until you send it? And he said, What pledge shall I give you? And she said, Your signet, and your bracelet, and your staff that is in your hand. And he gave it to her, and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. And she arose, and went away, and laid away her veil from her, and put on the clothes of her widowhood. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend the Adullamite, to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he could not find her. Then he asked the man of the place, saying, Where is the harlot who was openly by the wayside? And they said, There was no harlot here. And he returned to Judah, and said, I cannot find her. And also the men of the place said, There was no harlot here. And Judah said, Let her take it to her, lest we be ashamed. Behold, I sent this kid, and you have not found her. And it came to pass after 3 months afterward, that it was told Judah, saying, Your daughter-in-law Tamar has played the harlot, and also, behold, she is with child by whoredom. And Judah said, Bring her forth, and let her be burned. And when she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, I am with child by the man whose things these are. And she said, I pray you, observe whose things are these, the signet, and bracelets, and staff. And Judah acknowledged them, and said, She has been more righteous than I have, because I did not give Shelah my son to her. And he never knew her again. And in the time of her travail, behold, twins were in her womb. And when she travailed, it came to pass that one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, This came out first. And as he drew back his hand, it came to pass that, behold, his brother came out. And she said, How have you torn a break for yourself? Therefore his name was called Pharez. And afterward his brother came out, who had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zara.